Hello and welcome to Cloud Expert Solutions, your favorite cloud learning channel. In this module, we are going to understand AWS CloudHSM, a service designed for organizations that need full control over encryption keys using a dedicated hardware. Many learners confuse CloudHSM with AWS KMS, so we will clearly explain the difference and when CloudHSM is the right choice for your architecture and for your exam. Let's review the roadmap for today's session. As usual, we will start by reviewing what problem does AWS CloudHSM resolve. We will run through AWS CloudHSM key features, and to clarify the confusion with AWS KMS, we will compare both side by side. Followed by, we will review AWS CloudHSM High Availability Architecture. Then we will review AWS CloudHSM Key Rotation feature. We will also log into AWS Management Console and we will create our first CloudHSM cluster. And as always, we will finish up with a quick summary and key takeaways for your certification preparation. On behalf of the Cloud Expert Solutions team, I would like to thank you for joining us and selecting this bootcamp. Let's jump in. Let's understand what problem we are actually solving. In a standard cloud setup, services like AWS KMS are multi-tenant. That means while your keys are secure, the underlying hardware is shared with other customers. For most of the organization, that's fine. But for organizations in highly regulated industries, especially in banking, finance, and government agencies, they require to own and control their own encryption keys completely. They often have a strict compliance requirement like FIPS 142 Level 3, where they must have a dedicated single-tenant hardware. CloudHSM solves this by giving you dedicated single-tenant hardware security model inside your VPC, where you only control the keys and cryptographic operation. You have total control, even AWS cannot see the keys. Now let's review what makes CloudHSM special. First, it's a single tenant, that means dedicated only for you, and you are not sharing the hardware with anyone. Second, it lives inside your VPC, which means it has a private IP and you control the network access. Third, it supports industry standard APIs. If you have an old on-premise application that uses PKCS 11 or Java Cryptography Extension or JCE, you can migrate that to CloudHSM without rewriting your entire code base. And the big one for the exam is FIPS 142 Level 3 compliant, which is a step up in the physical tamper resistance compared to many standard software-based solutions. Now let's talk about performance and management aspects in AWS CloudHSM. CloudHSM provides secure key storage combined with high throughput cryptographic operations. Since cryptographic processing happens on dedicated hardware, operations like encryption, decryption, and digital signing are fast, predictable, and isolated from other customers. The next feature is tamper detection. CloudHSM devices are designed to detect physical intrusion. If any tampering attempt is detected, the hardware automatically wipes all cryptographic keys stored inside that. And finally, CloudHSM uses manual user and key management. You explicitly create and manage users such as crypto officer who manages the HSM and create keys, and crypto users who allowed to use those keys for cryptographic operations. Now let's compare AWS CloudHSM and AWS KMS because this is a very common exam topic and also an important architectural decision in real projects. To start with tenancy, AWS CloudHSM is a single tenant, meaning the hardware is dedicated to you and no other customer shares it. In contrast, AWS KMS is multi-tenant, where the underlying hardware is shared, but your keys remain logically isolated and secure. Next is login. With CloudHSM, logging and monitoring are customer managed, which means you are responsible for setting up and maintaining audit logs. With AWS KMS, logging is AWS managed and automatically integrated with AWS CloudTrail, which makes audit much easier. When it comes to compliance, CloudHSM supports FIPS 142 Level 3, which is required for very strict regulatory environments like banking or government workloads, whereas AWS KMS mostly supports FIPS 142 Level 2 and Level 3, which is a recent advancement. FIPS 142 Level 2 is sufficient for most enterprise use cases. Now let's talk about cost. CloudHSM is more expensive because you pay an hourly cost for dedicated HSM device, whereas KMS is much more cost effective, where you are only paying per request pricing model and the customer managed key. That is why KMS is suitable for large scale applications. Finally, ease of use. AWS CloudHSM requires more setup, including installing cloud software and managing users and key manually. Whereas KMS is much easier to use. KMS has native integration across AWS services like S3, EBS, and RDS. Now to summarize, choose AWS KMS for most workloads where simplicity, automation, and cost efficiency matter. However, choose AWS CloudHSM only when you need dedicated hardware and fully key ownership and strict compliance requirement. For the AWS certification, if the question mentions shared hardware or easy of use, think of AWS KMS. But if it says dedicated hardware, single tenant, or regulatory requirement for physical control, then the answer is almost always CloudHSM. Now let's review the high availability configuration for CloudHSM. Since CloudHSM is hardware based, it's not automatically highly available like Amazon S3. Here you have to design it. For production environment, you must always deploy your HSM clusters across at least 2 availability zones. This diagram represents an AWS CloudHSM cluster with 2 HSMs, each in different availability zones in a VPC. When you create an AWS CloudHSM cluster, AWS will put an Elastic Network Interface or ENI in the specified subnet in your AWS account, and the Elastic Network Interface is the interface for interacting with the HSM. The CloudHSM resides in a separate VPC in an AWS account that is owned by AWS CloudHSM. To interact with the HSM in a cluster, you need the AWS CloudHSM client software. Typically, you will install that client software on your Amazon EC2 instance, which will reside in the same VPC as the HSM ENIs. You can also install the client on any compatible computer. You can also use containers or other whatever is applicable for your workload. If one availability zone goes down, the CloudHSM client on your EC2 instance automatically fails over to the HSM cluster in the other availability zone. AWS handles the synchronization of keys between them, so you don't have to worry about data being out of sync. AWS CloudHSM performs regular backups of your cluster's users, keys, and rules. Backups are stored in the same region as your cluster in a service-controlled Amazon S3 bucket. Now to summarize, you just deploy the HSM cluster in at least 2 different availability zones if you have a production workload, synchronization of the keys between the nodes, or backing up your data and keys will be automatically taken care by AWS. Now let's understand AWS CloudHSM Key Rotation, because this works very differently from AWS KMS, and it is an important concept both for your real-world security and for the certification exam. The first thing to remember is this: key rotation in AWS CloudHSM is not automatic. Unlike AWS KMS, where AWS can automatically rotate keys for you, CloudHSM gives you full ownership and control. That means you are fully responsible for rotating keys. In CloudHSM, key rotation is handled by a special user role called crypto user, which is also referred as CU. The crypto user is responsible for three main things. First one, creating cryptographic keys, rotating or generating new keys, and updating applications to use the new keys. Please note that only a crypto user can create and manage keys. Whoever creates the key owns that key, and AWS never has access to this. This is a critical distinction and common exam question. Now the question is, how do you actually rotate keys in AWS CloudHSM? For that, AWS provides multiple tools to manage keys inside the HSM cluster. You have PKCS11 library, commonly used for Linux applications. You can also use JCE provider, that is for Java applications. You can also use CNG and KSP provider if you have Windows-based workload. Also, you can use CloudHSM CLI. Using these tools, the crypto user generates a new key, updates the application configuration to start using it, and then retires or disable the old key. In addition to key rotation, credential rotation is equally very important. CloudHSM requires you to regularly rotate HSM user password, which is nothing but crypto user credentials, and this is to meet regulatory compliance standard like PCI DSS. Now let's go back to AWS Management Console and let's see CloudHSM in action. Back to my AWS Management Console. To access CloudHSM, from the service search panel, I am going to type CloudHSM. The only service in the service search panel, I am going to click CloudHSM. This is the CloudHSM dashboard. I do not have an existing key or a cluster. So let's create our first cluster. To create a cluster, I'll click Create Cluster. The step 1 is cluster configuration, and you need to provide a VPC first. I do not have many VPCs, that is why I am going to select the default VPC. If you want to place to a different VPC, you can create a new VPC from here and you can select that VPC. Now these are the availability zones where you want CloudHSM to place the ENIs. Maybe for this demo, I am going to choose USTist 1A and USTist 1B. Although this is not a production workload, if you select more than one availability zones, you are going to have high availability setup for the HSM cluster, which is a recommended setup for any production workload. In terms of HSM types, we have two different nodes, HSM2M medium or HSM1 medium. Since I am using Northern Virginia, HSM1 medium is not available. That is why I need to go with 2M.medium. If you have any workload which requires FIPS, then you must select FIPS. By default, non-FIPS is selected. I do not have an use case. I'll go with non-FIPS. In terms of network connection, either you can go with IPv4 or dual stack. If you choose dual stack, then you will be able to connect using IPv4 and IPv6. For this demo, I am going to choose IPv4. Next is cluster source. How you want to create your cluster? Do you want to create a new cluster? Do you want to restore a cluster from an existing backup? Or do you want to use an existing cluster to create a new? I do not have any backup or existing cluster. That is why I am going to choose create a new cluster. You please choose according to your use case. Then I am going to click next. The second option is backup retention. How many days you want to retain the backup? The default is 90 days and you can choose between 7 days to 379 days. I am fine with the 90 days backup, the default. I'll click next. The third step is adding tag. It is recommended to add tags. I do not have an use case. I am not going to add any tag, so I am going to skip it and I'll click next. The final step is review. You can review all the configurations you have chosen and then create the cluster. Please remember, when you create a cluster, there is no free tier since you are accessing a dedicated physical hardware, that too in two different availability zones. You are going to get charged actual money, and that too based on the hours you are using. So before clicking create cluster, ask yourself, do you want to spend any money or not for this demo? If you don't want to, or if you are sensitive about cost, you can cancel out from this step. Now from the left hand side, here you have clusters and backups. This service does not have many features or functionalities. If you click backups, here you will be able to see all your backups, and if you click cluster, here you will be able to see all the clusters you have created for this account. Back to my PPT, and we came towards conclusion of this module. Now let's review some exam tips. Unlike AWS KMS, where you can just check a box for annual rotation, with CloudHSM, your crypto user has to manually generate new keys and update the application. Please remember, keys are fully customer managed and AWS does not have access to your device. When you rotate your HSM keys, you need to modify the application code to change the key references. More control comes with more responsibility. That is why CloudHSM is used only for high security or regulatory environments, or unless and until it is absolutely required. High availability in CloudHSM is not out of the box feature, and you need to manually deploy the cluster for at least two different availability zones. CloudHSM requires a client on your EC2 or in your application to access. For the AWS certification, you need to remember these keywords. If you see dedicated hardware or single tenant, the answer is CloudHSM. If you see term like FIPS 140-2 level 3, the answer is CloudHSM. If you see terms like cloud native and low cost, that time your answer will be AWS KMS. And if you see any use case like SSL or TLS offboarding or digital signature, these are the common CloudHSM use cases. And last but not least, for AWS CloudHSM, AWS manages the hardware, but you manage the users and the keys. That wraps up this module. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more AWS exam preparation courses and cloud certification bootcamps. Got questions or feedback? Drop them in the comment. We love to hear from you. Thanks for learning with us at Cloud Expert Solutions. You are now one step closer to crushing your exam. See you in the next module.